Hello everyone, today we're going to be talking about the Emperor of All Maladies, and this chapter specifically, these next two chapters, because I read two chapters, we are going to be looking over, the first few steps into the dark ages of cancer. The dark ages being that, there's a lack of, cancer foundry within that era, which is mostly found after Farber died. But anyways, going into the first chapter, even though things look bleak for cancer research, Siddhartha Mukherjee himself decided to dial back a bit to Halstead's radicalism. Specifically, his radical method of surgery, which is being well implemented at the time, but from the shadows further from Baltimore, because those further from Baltimore believe less in Halstead's methods. In Massachusetts, a professor and researcher named George Keynes had a patient in a hospital, and she had a very frail constitution, and her cancer has already spread from her breast. And so normally in Baltimore, if they got a patient like this, they would immediately whisk her away to surgery. But Keynes, who obviously did not believe Halstead's methods, decided to go into a more conservative matter. Instead of cutting away and disfiguring someone with a knife, he decided, what else do we use other than chemicals and scalpels. And then he remembered the fact that they use X-rays and radium on cancer. So his plan: bury 50 milligrams of radium into her chest, and he was hoping for it to work, and surprisingly, it did work. It worked far more better than Halstead's method, and the patient was stable for a long time, proving she was cured. So with that, Keynes decided to put up a bit of a study to prove Halstead's methods are wrong, but all of Halstead's disciples and so just pointed and laughed at Keynes and said his experiments were a bit more of a lumptechy. Oh, well, rather mockingly, and Keynes ignored it, yet the world ignored him for a bit. Though he would have been completely forgotten, and we would still rely on radical surgery if it weren't for another factor: George Clie II. And he was actually listening in to a lecture made by a colleague of Keynes that will describe something about using radium to eradicate breast cancer instead of disfiguring radical surgery. Turns out he's also came to the same conclusion too. Working with his father, who was also named George, they decided to look into radiology after starting to disbelieve Halstead's methods, and his theory on how cancer worked because he thought it worked like a centrifuge, spinning around with lymph nodes and closer to the tumor. But in reality, from what the Cleays observed, it's far different. Instead of the metastasis growing near said tumor, it grew further from it. So therefore, it wasn't according to Halstead's theory. So therefore, what's the point of surgery even? So after coming to that viewpoint, Clay found someone who had a similar viewpoint, and that was George Keynes. Though unfortunately, despite this revelation, both of them were still ignored by the medical world, and they still preferred radical surgery. The final blow to it, and possibly the thing that debunked everything, and it came from someone by the name of Bernard Fisher. And this took place 40 years after Keynes started his observation. Fisher, who was amongst the younger generation that disbelieved less and less of Halstead's methods, obviously disbelieved less and decided to go for, the more conservative method of using radium. And of course, you think this time he'd actually prove to everyone that Halstead was wrong. So, we'll get to that. As usual, the Halsteadians pointed and laughed at him, but he kept on going, and famously, as Mukherjee quoted from him, "In God we trust. All others must have data." Which means that, other than God, everything needs data to prove them. And said data he did find, though it took 10 years to find so. And finally, nailing in the coffin for Halstead's opinions, and making radical surgery rarely used today, because it's fairly useless. But moving on. Obviously, going back to chemotherapy, and back to near the dark ages of cancer, one potential light to lead away from those dark ages was a certain chemical called cisplatin, which is actually short for platinum. It's a chemical that was invented and found virtually no use for it, and they just stored it away for some reason. It did find its use when a scientist decided to experiment with it on some growing bacteria cells, using the platinum nodes and electricity to see if it stimulates some bacteria growth. When he ran the electric current, the bacteria growth actually stopped completely. He was surprised and published his findings on it, and so what else is it used other than cancer? I mean it was actually pretty effective against cancer and saved lots of lives, but no good cure came with side effects. In cisplatin's case, it came with nausea, vomiting, and and all that bad stuff. Because well, apparently, it doesn't just stop cancer growth. It also fiddles around with your brain and well, thus causes the nausea. And so after that, scientists decided to look for other chemicals similar to cisplatin, but of course, while they are effective against cancer, they still had side effects. And those side effects can even lead to death. And so the dark ages of cancer continued. And this is where I am my reading.
So I have some question. The first question I'd like to understand is you say Keane is the first one that went against Keynes. What did he do again?
Well, instead of doing radical surgery, he just decided to bury 50 milligrams of radium.
Okay.
Remember, it's a thing that Marie Curie and Pierre Curie discovered. Mm-hmm. Yes.
What did he put that? Where did he put that?
The chest area.
He put radium on what happened then?
And surprisingly, the tumor vanished.
And there is no side effect with that?
I like to believe that there are some possible side effects because because despite radium being effective on that part, that was a small dose. Like how X-rays usually are given in small doses. Though you still need a lead shield to shield the rest of your body from the X-rays.
Okay. So the second question I had is, you say something interesting. You say, from Halstead point of view, the cancer was more centrifuge. You say?
Well, you know what a centrifuge is, right?
Yeah. Go ahead. Explain.
A centrifuge is basically an instrument that is used to determine one's DNA and separate the plasma from the blood. Usually by spinning stuff around.
Okay.
And in his mind, how cancer spread was like how a centrifuge works. It spins around and around and around in larger circles.
And run away from the cell. Okay.
Yeah.
So, but how does the radium can help? Because the radium is placed at a specific place, you say.
Because specifically, when radium comes in and radioactivity comes into play, it's more like a stop sign for
the centrifuge effect to happen.
No, for malignant cancer growth, and note Halstead just kept on cutting away, and if you keep cutting stuff away, it doesn't necessarily mean that the cells are going to stop. They keep growing, even if you cut them in half or keep on cutting them, they still grow.
Okay. So you say radium is like a stop sign. You say.
Yes, metamorphically, it's.
Okay, but then if it's a stop sign, everything that happened before the stop sign happened is still here, but the cell doesn't develop anymore. What happened? Because it's still, if you don't do the surgery, you put only the stop sign, the malignant cell is still in your body. Is that right?
Oh yeah, I didn't really mention it earlier, but Mickey's also tried to improvise methods of mixing surgery and radiology.
Oh, okay.
So not just sticking 50 milligrams of radium on your chest. It's also cutting into it and making sure the spot is specific.
And then you do radiology.
Yeah.
You put some X-ray in order to kill the cell.
Either X-rays or some radium.
Okay. So the next thing is there no side effect with radium?
I said that there
Oh, you
are
said
some.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, there are some effects of
Okay, you're right.
radium.
So-
Well, as long as if you decide to keep it longer than the small doses doctors usually give, because larger doses they are more deadly and they can actually give your body bad side effects.
Okay, then you talk about another chemical element. Forgot the name.
Cisplatinum.
Cisplatinum. You say these chemical elements was very successful, but had a lot of side effects.
It had side effects, and I mean, it's effective against cancer, but the reason why it isn't really as useful nowadays is because of all the strong side effects it had, and side effects aren't really something that we like.
And I would like to come back at the radium. Why do we still use radium today?
To be fairly honest, I believe so. I mean, I think radium is still used in chemotherapy, but
Okay. Oh, you don't know for sure. Okay.
I don't know for sure.
Don't speculate.
Okay. So okay. I think that's all. So what did you like the most? What was the most interesting in this part?
Debunking Halstead's theory.
Debugging? Halstead's theory?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because you can't. First off, you can't really get rid of a growing tumor if you just cut it, because it'll just grow back or continue growing regardless.
Okay. That was a must. Is that the part you knew already before? Is there a new part you thought that was interesting?
It's a new part that I thought that was interesting.
Okay, that a new part you learned about. Okay. Well, thank you very much.